good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on when and where you are listening to this. This is Coffee with Kevin, and this is my coffee. Today I've got my cup living simply. I don't think you can see it really well. hmm And I'm Kevin. I hope you are joining me with a beautiful, warm, or hot cup of coffee or tea or whatever you prefer to drink today. Okay, it's just a wonderful day. And I'm going to start off by saying I am sorry. Yes, I'm sorry. Last week, I was not on the air. We missed a week. I think it's probably in 3 years, it's probably only the third week that we missed completely. And yeah, yeah. So I'm sorry about that. Things got a little hectic, things got a little wild. I'm in the process of selling my house, and that was the last day before the we started showing the house, and so it was one of the worst days. And yeah, it just slipped my mind. I don't know how something that I've been doing for over 3 years slipped my mind, but it did. So I want to apologize. And I also want to talk about I've run into so many people and so many different um, ideas and methods that say do not apologize. Do not say I'm sorry. And I don't think that's right. I don't think that was right. I think asking for forgiveness is almost as important as actually forgiving somebody. And I think that forgiving somebody is super important. It's one of the most critical things we can do. As human beings, there's always going to be things that where we get angry with other people for some reason. They do something, behave some way, say something, or whatever it is. And some of those things that happen, we hold on to. We hold on to. And it is super critical for us to let go of that. Not for their sake, but for our sake. And I think that when we do something wrong, identifying it as soon as possible. And even if it's not something we consciously did wrong, but identifying it as soon as possible and asking for forgiveness, saying, I'm sorry. Actually, the I'm sorry is one of my mentors said, the I'm sorry doesn't have the energy because it's just a flat out statement. And he's right. It is a flat out statement. But it usually means that we've identified something that we need to say sorry for to begin with. Now, when you say, please forgive me, that has energy. So I'm sorry for missing last week, and please forgive me. Now, that is very different and has a lot of energy. My mentor, Dr. Matt James, who I've known for almost 20 years now, has taught me so many things, and I've learned so many things from him and his classes. He is the one that I got my NLP certification from. All my NLP training, basically from Matt. And forgiveness is a huge thing for him and part of his trainings. And I agree. I agree with that. So that's what I wanted to say and talk about this morning. I wanted to talk about, forgiving people. And maybe you can forgive me for not being here last week. But I'm back on track. I'm back on track. House isn't sold, by the way. Not yet. Good morning, Larry. Yes. Yes, so much in agreement. That is wonderful. Um, the house isn't sold, by the way. Today is the last day for the offers for everything that happened last week. We had an open house. I tell you, when you have been living in a place for almost 20 years and you had been married for 40 years and had you had 3 kids, and you actually had a brother-in-law living with you for a long time and another brother-in-law living with you for part-time. And then various people moved in the house, but those are the people who had stuff in the house. Emptying the house is an extraordinary feat. It is just incredible. And it actually did take some part of my part to forgive the people who, caused extra work on my part or caused extra stress on my part. But I've done that as well. Done that as well. Right now, outside my house, outside my office right now, I have a stream of bags. Now it's garbage day, so I have the garbage bin out there, but they allow us these big 64-gallon bags that you have to pay for, and they allow us to have five each. So I have five on my side and five on the other side. And this is like the second time or third time I do this in the last 3 weeks. But I also have a stream of 13 bags or bins full of clothes that are being recycled. This is for the Epilepsy Foundation. They're coming to pick them up. 13 is a special number for me and Brenda, my wife, because we got married on Friday the 13th. Our first date was on Friday the 13th. Our engagement time period was exactly 13 months. Our very first grocery bill, and you're gonna die because it's so low. But it was a long time ago when we got married 40 years ago. Our first grocery bill together was $13.13, all by coincidence. So 13 is a lucky number. So I got 13 bags out there for the Epilepsy Foundation, and I'm hoping it's lucky for them that they can recycle it and help people the way they do. So let's talk a little bit about forgiveness. See, I see forgiveness as just um, mostly, not just, mostly a one way thing. And the one way is here. It's letting go of the things I'm holding on to that I don't want to hold on to. Well, actually, that I want to hold on to sometimes, right? When we're holding something against somebody for something they did to us, we feel deserving of that anger or that contentment or whatever it is we're holding against those people. We feel deserving and we want to hold on to it. But what does that do to us? What does that do to us? All the stress that we hold on to from those negative emotions, that kind of stress causes all sorts of dis-ease within our body. When I say that, we're talking about all sorts of problems, all sorts of illnesses, all sorts of things like that physically within our body. And it causes dis-ease within our minds. It causes us not to think and act right, not to feel right. So when we let go and forgive somebody, we're doing it for ourselves for the most part. I do think if someone is out there and they made a mistake and they're truly, truly asking for forgiveness, we also are doing it for them. But that's usually just a small part of that. Does not meant that doesn't happen often. Most of the time, we're holding something against somebody for what they did or said, and they don't even know it or remember it, and they're not out there gloating because they did that. It's just us holding on to it and saying we need to hold on to this because they wronged us. And all we're doing is hurting ourselves, not hurting them. We're not hurting anybody else. We're hurting ourselves. So when you let go, and that's a new frame for forgiveness, it's basically letting go. Let go of what I'm holding against anybody else or anything else. Because that's what I'm doing is letting go for myself. And that's what I want you to do is to learn to let go, to learn to really just let go. I've I've developed a new imagery for that with my clients as of late for under hypnosis. And I say, okay, whatever is bothering you, whatever you're holding on to, And most of the time, it is things that they're holding on to that they need to forgive. I say, see it in whatever shape and form that it has in your mind. And I remember one person recently, it came up to a silver dollar, but it was a two-headed coin. He doesn't know why. And I say, oh, I didn't know it until afterwards because I just walked them through this. And I say, attach this to a tethered line that's tethered to these big helium balloons. And then when you're ready, let go. Let go of the line and the object that you're holding on to. You've let go. When we say holding on to, yes, we are holding on to. So when I say let go, we're letting go of whatever we're holding on to. And in this imagery, it floats up higher and higher and higher. And the higher it goes, the smaller it gets. Now, I didn't realize this was already a small. So it got small quick. And it gets further away and gets further away until you can't even see the balloons anymore. And they go really high up. And that's a feeling of letting go. That's a feeling of completely letting go. So you're not even, whatever it is that you were holding on to, it goes further and further and further away till it gets so small and so far away, you can't see it anymore. Oh, I got a question about the real estate. How long of a time was there between your first real thought of moving to Florida to actually executing an action and saying, yes, where you're going? Thank you, Larry. Thank you, Larry, for asking that because we have been thinking, and I have been thinking of going to Florida for 5 years. Everybody says, first thought in my mind said, "Oh, you're retiring." No, I'm selling the house because it's too big, it's too large, and it's time to leave. Going to Florida because that's the thing we've been talking and dreaming about for years because we have family down there. You know, if it wasn't for family, I might have been thinking of going out to Arizona because I loved Arizona too. There's a lot of places around here that it's more temperate. Yes, it's hot. It's going to be humid in the summer, but it's going to be nice, really nice, a lot of those other seasons, as opposed to up here in the Northeast. As opposed to up here in the Northeast. You know, I'm getting tired of getting my snowblower running and using the shovel and dealing with going out early in the morning and slipping on ice, which is some things I've done a couple of times. And so I wanted a more temperate place. Now I always brag about New England. I always brag about New England because I say we have all sorts of weather, but we usually don't get extremes of any of them. Up until a few years ago, we really hadn't heard too much about tornadoes. Up until about 10 years ago, hurricanes hit us, but they usually hit us with a lot less damage and they're a lot weaker than they are when they hit down in Florida, where I'm going to, by the way. Um, we get snowstorms, but compared to Buffalo, Buffalo gets killed with snowstorms. So I always used to brag about New England weather in that it's really cool to be here and I love it, but it's time. It's time to get a change. And sometimes a change is good. Often a change is good because you get to reset and restart. If you look at a change that way, where you have the opportunity to reset and restart, it's good. It's good for you. It's good for everyone around you. It's wonderful. Um, I sat down on my computer the other day and I hadn't been on the computer that much in the past 3 weeks because I've been working on the house, but I get on once a day or so. And I realized I had a problem that wasn't going away. And it clicked, it hit me. I've got a Windows computer. I said, okay, I got to restart this. Because when I restart this, it refreshes all of the cache memory. Now that's not CASH, which I really would like it to be, but CACHE. It's the memory of the things you're doing that actually is often impacts what you're doing real time. So I got to reset that, restart everything, wipe out anything that was in memory, and start all over again. And then everything started working well. It was refreshed, and that's what happens when you decide to make a change. It doesn't matter what change it is, but sometimes a large change is needed, and that's why I'm going. And I've been thinking about it for many years, Larry. Thank you for that question. Anyway, that's it. This is a little different today. This is a nice change. I'm sitting down. You see most of my office. It's a lot cleaner than it was a couple of weeks ago. You see most of my office. You see my coffee machine. You see my refrigerator. You see the bookshelf in the back. That's fairly empty. Um, yeah, change is good if you look at it that way. If you want it to be that way. A lot of us are afraid of change, but embrace change, and you'll find it's really good. That has been Coffee with Kevin, and this is again my coffee. And I'm Kevin Martin, a mindset coach with CNLPcoaching.com, Center for Next Level Performance. Excuse me. Um, you can reach me on Facebook. You can reach me on LinkedIn. Heck, I think you can reach out to me on YouTube, or you can find me at cnlpcoaching.com. All right, you have a great day. Have a great week. No, hold up. Let me back up. You have the ability and the power to make it a great day if it's not, to make it a great week if it's not. You have the choice. Just remember. All right, I will see you next week. Take care, everyone.